Mr. Coleman's 21 years old. Indication is that he has been around California a bit. He had a juvenile record, but at this point we're not going to discuss that juvenile record. As an adult, he has had his brushes with the law and was currently wanted on a warrant out of Alameda for possession of a firearm by a prohibited person. So, prohibited person being youth and a prior felony that we won't get into at this juncture because we're talking juvenile record. I'd like to follow up on what the sheriff had indicated in the cooperation of law enforcement. The scene that the police, sheriff, DA's office came into was rather chaotic. We had some 25 passengers and a bus driver that had to be basically corralled, brought to this office and the sheriff's office to be interviewed and their human needs taken care of. Very fortunate to have a Victim Assistance Bureau in the DA's office called out their crisis response team and then took care of those people last night, put them in a local hotel, took care of their toiletry needs, their food needs, some counseling needs, and those folks now are getting ready to board another bus to go on their way. This is the bus that they came in on, and you'll notice this is a bullet hole through that windshield. So kind of the logistics of getting all of these people and their luggage all back together and now on their way back on a bus to LA has been somewhat extraordinary. Last night, the Department of Justice out of Redding came and did the large part of the CSI work inside of that bus. The Department of Justice criminalists did find some casings, empty casings, and the indication is they found 12 9mm expended casings, which was consistent with what we heard from the witnesses of somewhere north of 10 shots. So a lot of shots. And inside of that bus, a lot of shots through seats towards the front of the bus. Anything that you want to add before we take questions?
Yeah, I'll just make this note that what we will probably do once we are satisfied that we have made the proper notifications to the victim's next of kin as well as family members, then we'll probably release the name of the decedent through a standard media release. But that work needs to be done before we do that. And so that's all I wanted to add to that. I guess with that, we can take some questions.
One final question or statement. It's our intent. The man was taken into custody last night, Wednesday. It's our intent to see if we can get together all of the information necessary to file charges against him, and that would be at 3 o'clock tomorrow in Butte County Superior Court. So we'll ask any questions.
All right,
Bill?
Let's do this. We'll be systematic about it, and we're going to work our way across the room. That way it doesn't turn into a free-for-all. So I'm going to start right here.
Sheriff,
Yes, sir.
thank you. I wanted to ask you, all the things that you say that he, allegedly did, the suspect in all this, it doesn't sound normal. So are we looking into whether he was under the influence, if he was, in some sort of drugs or anything? Have we looked into that?
Well, that's certainly part of the investigation, and we'll make an effort to determine whether or not drugs or alcohol played a role in this, or whether or not there was a mental health issue, or whatever other factors may be relevant here. But that's certainly an ongoing part of the investigation. Good. Anybody on this side? No, moving on. Yes.
Thank you, Sheriff. Are you able to specify what type of weapon was used to discharge those 9mm rounds?
Yeah, at this point, what we'll say is it was a 9mm handgun.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Moving across. Yes, sir.
Was there some sort of altercation with another passenger, or was it just his agitation, and was he shooting indiscriminately, or was he actually targeting somebody?
Yeah. So he was exhibiting what I think could best be described as paranoid behavior. There was some indication that he thought one of the other passengers was an undercover law enforcement officer. That resulted in some agitation. Certainly there was, he was agitated or started raising his voice to the degree that that ultimately resulted in a significant confrontation between the two of them. We're still working to clarify all of that. And as to his intended targets, who they may have been, at this point, I'm not going to speculate. We're going to let the case develop, and then Mr. Ramsey can develop that, and ultimately that could become disclosed when the case goes to court. Hold on a second. I'll come back. Anybody on this side? Yes, sir.
Was the gun possessed legally?
We don't have that. No, it was not possessed legally. We know that because he was a prohibited person. How he obtained it or what its origin is, that is work that is still being done. But we can say clearly that this particular individual in no way, shape, or form should have been in possession of a firearm. And as Mr. Ramsey noted, there is a previous history of this individual who is merely 21 engaged in this kind of conduct. And so I'll work my way back and I'll come back to you.
I just want to make sure it's A-Z-H-I-D, Elijah Coleman. Just want to make sure you got the spelling correct.
If Mr. Ramsey could help me out, that'd be fantastic.
And then also, did he get on by himself in Reading, or was he with others?
He got on by himself in Reading, and the spelling of his first name is A-S-A-A-H-D-I.
Can you say that one more time, please?
A-S-A-A-H-D-I.
And how do you say it?
Well, we'll leave that to you to determine
Okay.
how you say it. Okay. All right, I want to be systematic. Anybody back over here? Coming this way?
So, you know, obviously, I wanted to ask you, you said he had some sort of warrant out of Alameda County. Is he for sure from Alameda County?
His residences have changed over some period of time. So to say he's from Alameda County, he has had somewhat of a transient lifestyle.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I'll come back to you. Go ahead.
Can you list out that warrant one last time? The warrant out of Alameda County?
Yeah, my understanding is it was a felony warrant for a probation violation. We don't know the underlying violation. We're still working with the authorities there to understand that. Go ahead.
Where was he born?
We don't know that right now. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Are we looking at any possible special enhancements for the fact that he had the gun not legally possessed?
That's a question for Mr. Ramsey.
And that would not be, there's a separate charge for having the weapon. There's a separate charge for using the weapon.
Thank you.
Coming back this way. Yes, sir.
Two questions. One, through a Google search, it looks like that AM/PM is a standard stop for Greyhound. That was a normal stop. It wasn't a stop because of passengers.
That's correct. That is our understanding, yeah.
And then secondly, the deceased female, do we have an age on her?
43. Yeah. Moving over. Okay, one last sweep back before. Okay, very good. And I recognize, especially with regard to our local media, if you need individual on cameras, we want to accommodate that, but we need to do that in an orderly fashion, so you have to wait your line. And as my standard practice, I always take care of my local media first. Okay? All right, thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Okay. Would we be able to put the suspect photo back up on screen? Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, folks, thank you very much.
Thank you
And
all.
we'll remain up here. And if somebody wants an individual,